Is anyone there?
Member. Hi, Angus.
Yes, we haven't started yet. We're about to get underway.
Oh, that's great. Just checking. Thank you.
I'm gonna make it. All right, so thank you all for joining us this evening. This is the first meeting of the Economic Development Committee. So this is a new committee that was just created by the Board of Selectmen. It was initiative by both myself as a town administrator, Annie Schindler as the town planner, as well as Bill Dunn with Dunn Landscaping. We were looking for a new way to communicate with our businesses and get some feedback and information as to what we should be doing here in town, especially with some of the latest developments with the master plan and the feasibility study over at 150 Center Street. So the first order of business will be the organization of the board so that we can appoint a chair who will then be running the meetings, as well as a vice chair. And both Annie and myself will be collecting notes, so there will be no need to assign a secretary for this particular committee unless the board would like to do so. But I think one of the first things we should do for the residents, if you all would like to introduce yourselves so that we're all fully aware of who's here with us this lovely afternoon. So, to my right.
Hi everybody, my name is Chris Goodwin. I'm a resident on Hillview Drive. I'm the chair of the zoning board and member of the planning board.
Monica Carboni, in the process of buying Pub 97. Currently live in Beverly, however, and my husband and I have owned Haverhill Beef Company for about 16 years now. So,
I'm Brian Connell with Norwood Insurance Agency, just down in Elm Square. My wife's family, it's been in her family since 1930, long time family, Bevilacqua. I converted her to a Connell a while back, and we have 2 children and live in Andover currently.
William Dunn of William Dunn Landscaping and Contracting, Center Street, Groveland.
Stephen Collins, I own Collins Family Tree Experts. Hi, I'm Stephen Collins. I'm the owner of Collins Family Tree Experts. I've been a Groveland resident for 35 years. I am 35 years old.
And we have joining us remotely this afternoon is Angus Jennings. Angus, do you want to say hello?
Yes. Hi. Thanks. And I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person. I'm driving back from Boston right now, so I'm going to be on mute for a lot of it. But I'm Angus Jennings. I moved to Groveland about a year ago. I'm the town manager in West Newbury. Prior to getting into town management 8 years ago, I've had about a 15-year career in town planning and economic development, and have worked with a lot of the policies in the state on different incentives for business growth.
Great. So the next order would be to nominate a chair and a vice chair. So would anybody like to take on the responsibility? Specifically, it would just be kind of running the meeting kind of as I am now, just calling matters to business in terms of the agenda and helping bring any issues to light. I know Chris and Bill have some specific experience in that manner, so I don't know if either one of you want to volunteer, as this is kind of a newer committee. All right, so do we want to nominate Bill to be the chair and Chris to be the vice chair? Or does that sound good to the board?
Sure, absolutely.
So would somebody like to make a motion to nominate
as
Bill Dunn?
Bill Dunn and Chris Goodwin,
Yes.
as chair and vice chair.
Yes.
I second the motion.
And then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call.
Oh,
since
roll
he's
call
on.
because we have a remote member. So Chris,
Aye.
Monica,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
Bill,
Yep.
Steve,
Yes.
Angus.
Yes.
Okay, so I will turn things over to Bill Dunn, who is a much better chair than I will ever be. So thank you very much, Bill, for your volunteer efforts.
No problem. So we got the introduction from Rebecca. Do you have anything that you'd like to speak? Okay. Thank you. We all need to come up with a mission of the board, what our mission would be as a committee. Me, the reason I started this was because I personally see taxes going up in Groveland. I don't see any kind of collaboration with the businesses in Groveland, which I think we're lacking very much so. And I also think that Groveland needs to have a business district. And when I say district, it could be out behind, you know, something, not saying business, but behind Strawberry Fields, revamp the upper 97 area. That's where Pub 97 is, Kendall Construction, Northern Tree. Up in that area, take a look at that, see what we can do to help the current businesses in town grow. I did have a conversation it's down the road, as I told her, with Kendall Construction, Barbara Kelly. She is willing to sit with us and talk. So, I mean, I think people are ready and willing to have something like this and talk. So I'm hoping we can get that going, and what you guys' thoughts are. I know we have another property in Groveland, this Aggregate Industries, the old Aggregate Industries property. We possibly could look at that as well. So I think what we need to do is we all just need to kind of come up with where we want to start, get a starting point with the board, and then move on from there. The Elm Square is another issue, as everyone knows. I think years ago, what happened to that was it got redesigned, and it took the parking out of Elm Square, which then killed all the businesses down there. There's not a good amount of parking, and I think it hurt the business, but I think we can help the people and try to bring some light, bring some color and what have you to it, you know? I don't know if any of you guys have a thought on what I just said, or want to elaborate on it or whatever?
No, I mean, I think I agree with everything you said, Bill. I think we have a good jumping off point, right? I think most people in town will have an idea of where we should focus, at least where we should kind of kick things off, right? The areas in town we should focus on, where we see kind of, development happening as we look, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, right? And I think in conjunction with the master plan that the town's putting through, gives us a great opportunity to work with that team in conjunction and say, here's where we'd like to see it, what can we do to make things attractive for new businesses? What can we do to help, like you said, help existing businesses grow? What can we do to make it feasible to put a business in this location or grow this area, or really make it one attractive for businesses to come into town, make it attractive for businesses to grow with the town, and then make it something that's going to be beneficial to all the residents on the back end, right?
And one thing that Groveland is lacking big time is land, is land where we can do something. I mean, where there was some land was out on Salem Street, but now that's the apartment building complex, whatever. So it's challenging in Groveland because we don't have the land, so we're gonna have to create it. We're gonna have to somehow, like I said, go to someone, say, with a big piece of land, are you willing to sell or whatever? We go for money, state money, federal money, whatever, but I don't think we have the area that we need. And, some people say, well, you don't have the septic either. But you know something? If you build it, we'll fill it. If you build it, there's a way to get a septic. You know what I mean? So, that being said, when they build a Walmart, not that I'm saying Walmart's coming to Groveland, but when they build a Walmart, they do the infrastructure, they do the pipe work. So if we get a good enough plan together, maybe the developer's willing to bring piping to his site or whatever. You know what I mean? However, I'm sure once we get to that point, it will all start falling in place. And I know Rebecca, and there's a committee that, or not a committee, but Rebecca and Annie were working on, was behind Center Street. And I know they've got some, money spent out there. I sat in a meeting a few weeks ago, they got some ideas. I think this committee should be well involved in that conversation as well, so we can send us, help them in the right direction, and then we can relate to the town, people in town, saying, this will work, this won't work. I don't think, I said it verbally, I don't think industrial back there is the answer, not because I'm there, it's because I want to see something go in there that Groveland's known for. It was talked in the meeting where they were saying maybe do a coffee factory or a brew pub, something where people will go into there and have a reason to get off the rail trail, or have a reason to come into Groveland, and Groveland's known for that area.
Yes, something with staying power, right?
Right.
We don't
Right.
want having a quick stop is great, but we want
Yeah.
something that you're gonna stay in this area for a couple hours. Like,
Right.
have a beer, have a coffee,
Right.
have your kids play in the green space across the street while you're standing there with your neighbor.
Right.
Right?
Right.
That kind of
So I think this board would definitely, could play into that property back there as well. That could be one of our tasks that we take on.
No, agreed, and I think even looking at, you made the point about the industrial not being necessarily what we're looking for either. I think from just a pure tax standpoint, I think we're better off with commercial, if I'm not wrong as well, just at the tax rate that brings. So I think looking at things like that, promoting it as best we can, we can look at and recommend potential zoning changes. We can work with, and look at with the master plan to say, hey, as a town, we're interested in this. And I think even putting that message out there, into the quote-unquote, wherever there is, makes us more attractive to businesses when they start to look at where they want to grow and what their index footprint to be.
Anyone else have any input they want to at this point? Good.
Well, I guess for myself, just coming in and being kind of a new guy in business in town here even though it's a legacy business, been around a long time, is I think just getting some communication. The fact that we're even sitting here and I haven't even met you guys formally after being here going on almost 6 years
Right.
is a plus. And I already know Monica and Peter and, to me, I'd love to figure out what the rest of the businesses like Steve Daniels and
Yep.
Burke and Sons and
Yep.
all that, reach out to these guys and be like, what are you guys trying to accomplish? What would be better from even, Rebecca communicating and showing us up on like the town website? I do a lot with the Merrimack Chamber of Commerce and am involved. I sponsor a bunch of events with them. Why shouldn't we be doing them here? Why don't we do them at Pub 97 and have, bring these other business leaders from around Merrimack Valley and Groveland into
Right.
those events? And then I think from there, then you can really start to codify what are you trying to accomplish? Is it a big development for businesses? Is it filling, the gaps where we have them today to get, some of these empty storefronts full again?
Business friendly, making.
Yeah,
sure.
I was at a thing, I forget, I think it was kind of Game On or something like that just recently, and it was in Amesbury. And I don't know if she's the town manager or if she's the mayor, I think, is she the mayor? But she came in and we had a great conversation and super business friendly. Now, Amesbury obviously has a lot more space and a lot of things that they were able to repurpose, but, just start there. Like, what do we want to try to, like, compel people to come do? And what do the residents and businesses want in their community?
Right.
I did think, speaking of the website, because I was on that today when looking at it, first of all, there's a lot of information, but I did look at that study that was done on the,
Master plan.
was that the master plan that was back in 2020 on the, Elm Square?
Oh.
There's a ton of information that breaks down businesses and a lot of surveys and stuff like that, if you take a look at it.
Yeah.
As someone who's very new, it was really informative, just saying.
Okay, and that's true. I mean, when I was on different boards, and I've always tried doing this, and we were never able to get this to where we are today, partly because they weren't willing to do it. I don't know the whole story, but I tried, and finally when Rebecca came in and Annie, I think that, like I was saying, those are the pieces of the pie that we needed. Then they got them. Now they're helping to get us where we are today, and we're here. So I think we're on the right road to get started. I think it's a good thing, and I think once we're known, people will come in as well, like you guys were saying, and maybe we can do a thing where, like, maybe Steve Collins, or he holds a something, and we all meet at his place, and we all have we invite, like you said, other businesses in to talk, or whatever.
And
you know?
being approachable and people,
Right, even if it's at your restaurant one afternoon, we all go over there and we meet, and we don't, it's not a formal meeting like this, but it's just kind of like, we all come up with different ideas, and then we come back with the ideas, and then we,
this is
Try to
what
put
people
something
are
together.
talking about.
right. Okay, so we get that,
Mission.
I don't know if anyone wants to try and, where you want to head with it today. Do you want to try and come up with an agenda for next meeting, like stuff we want to nail down for next meeting, how you guys want to do it? Take some bits and pieces.
So I know when we started to create the committee, we had identified some focus areas and efforts that the board would focus on.
Yep.
So I don't know, as your suggestion, if maybe the members want to take a closer look at that, and we can send that out to the committee members and kind of formulate what you think a mission statement might be, and give you kind of like a draft to work off of, and then we can come back at the next meeting and formalize that and have a more detailed conversation.
Sure.
So I'm sorry, who, was someone volunteering to draft a mission statement, or was that going to be you that we would bring back, or just being?
Annie and I can put together something,
Okay,
and then you
okay.
guys can just tear it apart.
Okay, so
and make
you
it
will
your
give us
own
something to
and-
look at, then we, okay, for feedback, and then we'll put it together.
And then it will just kind of guide the
To-
conversation a little bit, so you're all working with the same thing, and then how you
Gotcha.
choose to present it will be your own unique spin, but at least we're still all working with the same
Right.
document. So it might be more helpful for everyone. But again, it's just an idea.
I think it's a good idea. I think that we all are in business and we're all busy. Not that I'm saying I don't want to put the time in, I do, but I've always said it, sometimes these guys are here full-time. I don't want to overload their load that they've already got going, but if they're willing and they can fit it, I think they can help direct it, I think we're good,
Absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, I was asked, hey, do you want it? And I'm like, yeah, raise my hand, but I had no idea what happened up until 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
You know what I
right,
mean?
Exactly.
So
And
just
as the meetings go on.
What was the goal?
And the
What
more
was
we
the
meet,
mission?
everyone's going to understand better, and once we get rolling,
Yeah.
I think everyone's going to have a little piece they can add into it as we go.
No, gotcha.
So I think we're probably a short meeting today we really need to get the mission statement and get going. Unless anyone has anything else they want to bring up today or whatever, talk about future meeting time, once a month,
Yeah, I'd like to.
once a month?
Yeah, this time works well for me, but I'm flexible.
I know a
As far
lot of
as
people leave
during the
town
day.
and what have you. Like Steve and I, it's harder for me to come at 3 in the, this time of day, 4 or 5 o'clock, but I understand people need them.
And I'll be working evenings.
Right,
So,
so I guess we need to just, everyone
No,
find the best time.
I'm flexible.
but I'm
Can you-
flexible,
Can
once
you-
a month I can make anything happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, you want to try and push it to like 5-ish? Is that
Yeah.
too late? 5? Is that good for you, Rebecca? And Annie, is that good? I know you guys are here all day, and you don't want
We can make
to stay
it,
all night
don't
either.
worry about us, we can make it work on
Sure?
our end.
Oh, yeah, we'll make
Okay.
Whatever works for the board.
Five is usually better for me, just
Okay.
because it's, I'm usually
Is
here
that
till
good for you,
like
Steve?
Yeah.
Okay.
5
I
or
don't know
6
if
o'clock anyhow.
Angus, if that's good for Angus, is that better for him? Angus, are you good with that?
5 is good. I can be flexible, but if I have a preference, 5 is better than 3.
Today's
Okay, so why don't we try to
the
set a,
last Thursday of the month, every.
Yeah, you wanna
the
stay with that?
Final Thursday, okay, just
Okay.
confirming that, yeah.
so the last Thursday of the month, we'll meet
That would-
again?
And then, so, September,
That is September 28th. Right? Yeah.
it's not September
trusting you.
20th.
Last Thursday of the, yeah, September 28th. I don't know if you should trust me on that.
No,
Yeah.
So we'll,
And that doesn't conflict with any other, that,
I don't
committee?
believe so, no.
Yeah,
Thursday isn't a big board or
Okay.
commission meeting day, so we should be totally fine.
so not to pressure you guys, but if we can get out to them sooner than later, so they can be thinking
We
before
will
the
have
next
something
meeting.
to you by the end of next week.
I can tell, I know. But,
Not to worry, you'll have something in your inbox at the end of next week. But
Perfect.
I did want to just add, if I may, just for background while we're thinking about everything, This all stemmed originally just from, having an economic development background myself and understanding the importance that businesses play in a community and how it really is a collaborative partnership, and that the only way for us to be successful is to make sure that we're having those discussions and conversations because we're all invested in the same thing, and that's the success of Groveland. So as part of my process of becoming one of the first town planners here is to bring economic development back into the fold. And so the community had already created the Elm Square Committee, which really became the catalyst for moving forward with all of these efforts. So originally, when I came on board, I worked with Mike Dempsey and the Elm Square Committee, and we started to apply for Massachusetts Downtown Initiative grants, where you found the parking study as well as the economic analysis for the businesses within the town center. And we kind of grew on that and grew on that and grew on that. And then we were like, but we're not really including all of the businesses in town. We're only really focusing on the town center and whether or not we should involve more of the other businesses and whether or not it's a business improvement district or have nodes and centers. And it just made sense to kind of move in this direction that we're moving in and building upon what we've been able to accomplish with the Elm Square Committee. The biggest fall of the Elm Square Committee was that there was no follow-through after that. There was, studies and initiatives done, but we weren't really able to pull together all the pieces. And a lot of that has to do with the limited capacity that we have internally. I was the only town planner at the time, and then I moved forward in my new role. We were fortunate enough that we had Annie as a Conservation Commission agent, and she graciously took on the role of town planner and has been killing it. And it's been great to have her on board, but we still are only 2 people. So we wanted to create this committee as a way to, one, give us really informative feedback, but to help us kind of keep us on task and keep us following through with the recommendations and things that needed to be done, and also bring resources to the businesses. Are there things in the community that you're not seeing? Are there things that you need in order to be successful? Is that in the form of infrastructure? Is that in the form of additional state resources that we can help advocate and bring down to the local level? So this really is like a all-inclusive kind of committee and an all-inclusive kind of approach. And we want it to be an open dialogue for the businesses that are on this board and the individuals like the planning and zoning and those people who see applicants come through and they take them through the permitting process. Are they business friendly? Are we are accommodating? Is the regulations just too sticky? How do we, fall within the confines of the law, but at the same time, we're doing our due diligence for the residents and limiting the impact to them, et cetera. So trying to involve all the relevant parties. And as part of that as well, and one of the things you'll see that we'll keep on the agenda hopefully is the community event portion. Because as we were just saying, and as you mentioned, Brian, like all these different events with chambers and things, it gets people out into the businesses, it gets people out into the community. And community events is a huge part of that. And so how can we bring the community to your businesses so that they can see the good work that you're doing and that you can advertise such, but that it's all inclusive? We've done a great job with the Pumpkin Fest this last year and having businesses included in that so that they can showcase, but giving back to the community. And that would be a great conversation to have with this committee as well, as how can we do that not only on that one event, but events all throughout the year, and how we can partner with each other to be more inclusive like that. So when we're thinking about the mission, we're thinking about the charge, and thinking about what this committee is all about, kind of really think of it more globally. And all of that will be recommendations that we take to the Board of Selectmen for enactment, or things that Annie and I are already working on and trying to bring up through the chain anyway. So I think it will be a really great way to start this conversation, and I, for one, am extremely grateful for all of you for volunteering your time and your expertise and allowing us to take on this large but very important task. So thank you all.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, so, the last thing I was gonna say, I was saying if we can somehow also keep the community involved, like, we need to get out into the community with our businesses and bring the community to us as well. That's what I was thinking is, I'm planning on, at my business this year, having, like, my son and his wife want to sell pumpkins and what have you. So I'm thinking of trying to do a thing where I have my business, I have 915 customers, send an email blast out and send something out to town. I'm going to have like a October party type thing, you know what I mean? So I'm going to bring people in, they're going to come to Groveland, and hopefully they like it. And I think that's one of the things we're going to try doing. And again, maybe we incorporate it into more business. I talked to Steve, I talked to other people, and I did it once about a good 8 years ago with Scotty's Mobile, was down in Georgetown Square, if anyone remembers, and he had a band, and we used my yard, we took the trucks all out of there, and it was a good time. A lot of people came, and there was like 4 or 5 businesses, you know, and everyone had a good time. But then everyone got to know Scotty's Mobile, everyone got to know me and what have you. So I think it's a good way to, you know, and it helps promote business for us as well, and you know what I mean? Insurance, you know what I mean? So we do more of those things, and like Rebecca just said, we're helping her with her initiative. I think it's all gonna fall into place, you know what I mean? You could take your business, you could open the parking lot up on a Saturday or Sunday.
Well, I've experienced that a lot with Haverhill Beef too, if we've
Yeah.
had grilling events and,
Right,
you
so
know,
I think
with
it's all
Kentucky
good
Bank
stuff,
and-
you know what I mean? And the only last thing I'm gonna say is, and people know me, you get to know me, I say it the way it is, sometimes I shouldn't say it, as you know, I'm offensive, but one thing is I find, and I've found, I've been here for quite some time, in the town of Groveland, not saying today, but in the past, you're trying to do business in Groveland, it wasn't, let's just say, friendly. You hit roadblocks, okay? You can't do this, you can't do that. There's a lot of roadblocks. I don't know, since, you know, they have a new, I call it a new administration, things seem to be running smoother, but I can say, a lot of business people in town got fed up with the way things were, and they pulled away, and they didn't want to get involved. So hopefully, that would be one of our things we can do, is, hey, we're new, we're gonna hear you,
Fair,
come on
yeah.
in, join us. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna work with the town people, and we're not gonna break the law. We're gonna do what the law says, but the law of the land is law of the land, but on the same token, we gotta make this work. We all gotta survive. We gotta let the town people have cheaper taxes somehow, because, I mean.
And
as
laws
in-
can be adapted to changing times.
Exactly.
And, you know, and
Exactly.
see, just make sure we're looking at that and.
Right. So, I won't talk all night, but I just think that's a good piece of it.
I like
You know
it.
what I mean? And hopefully the committees that are out there, we have a lot of good committees, we all get in front of them. We go before the selectmen and the finance board, and, you know, we talk. I mean, that's where the town did not have good communication. They did their thing, everyone did their thing, selectmen did their thing, and no one wanted to interact. Now everyone's starting to interact, which is a good thing. You know what I'm saying?
And that will tie into all of the other items that you see on the agenda, 150 Center, potential, like, and all the development nodes and economic development potential that we have in town, whether it be a property like Cedardale going up, a property like 150 Center potential, a property down in Elm Square, if there's changeover or turnover or things of that nature. It all ties into that. It's like, what is it that we can do to attract businesses and be more business friendly? And so everything that you're saying is right on the money. So I think it, again, will all full circle
Right.
come into play.
So we talked about the future meeting time, and I don't think, you know, we're too new to talk about anything, you know, not reasonably anticipated at this time. So if anyone wants to have a couple minutes to say anything, I think I've said enough. I don't use that. But if not, we'll have a quick meeting. We'll meet up again on the end of September.
I just have a little thing I'd like to say. Like, one of my favorite things about Groveland growing up here is, like, you know, the events they had, like Groveland Day and things like that. And, like, I always make the point to donate to things like that as a business because I really like it and I enjoy going with my son and my family. And I think that that's something, I know the development and the property and everything is important, but some of that is kind of a far reach, you know? You're talking about developing 150 Center Street with the conservation and everything. I think that we could work on a lot of things like community, like, you know, like Groveland Day and things like that, that we get businesses to donate to make it
Yeah.
like unbelievable for residents. And it's just a small portion of what you make as a business. We have so many awesome businesses in Groveland. Like you said, Daniels, you know, like everybody, you know, there's so many great people. All these businesses, everybody kicks in a little bit. We could put on events that would blow the town's mind, and it could actually be achievable because the town's budget is only what it is. So that's something that's important to me is, you know, I'd like to do more events for the community and try to make it so that businesses want to be a part of it. And, you know, like sometimes it's as simple as, oh, you know, this awesome day and there's a sign that says, you know, donated by, you know, William F. Dunn Landscaping, and someone had such a great time and they look at that sign, they say, you know what, I'm going to call that guy. You know what I mean? He did this. So, like, as a business, it's great for you, and it's also great for the community. I think that we need to work on that. Something I'm passionate about.
Totally agree with that. And I mean, that was one of the first things when I'm here because sadly my brother-in-law passed away. I'm a tech guy. I got involved in the insurance and took it over, and we're thriving, we're doing great right now. But I think a lot of this public-private collaboration is really what I think is going to move the needle, right? Rebecca coming in and getting involved, even though we met in a very different way on one of the boards, but, you know, we're looking to be part of the solution. You know what I mean? You've mentioned some of the problems over the years. It's like, we can't worry about that right now. But like Groveland Day, that thing's humming along. We're doing some stuff with the Groveland Fire. We've got a huge, you know, obstacle course Plymouth Rock brought in. And
Yeah, the more the
it's
better.
just, you know, the kids love it. It's, I've got young kids, you've probably got young kids,
Yeah.
you know, bringing them, just getting those involved. Doing like a festival at your place, I'd love that idea. Yeah, I'd be all in. I mean, even like last year, just someone was trolling on Facebook about like holiday lights and why doesn't it look like It's a Wonderful Life? You guys got involved. I wrote a check. A few other people wrote a check. Looked great. You know, so just continue to build on these things.
Yeah.
I think.
Right, so, not that you want to hear about this all day, but in my past, I always try to get a board, this is how I operate, to try and get a board. I don't want Steve, you, and you to come, and Bill Dunn runs this whole thing. I want to get you involved, so Steve's passion, I want him to grow in his passion. I want you to do what you got to do, and I want us all to put it together. So as we get going, hopefully Steve will say, Bill, I'm going to work on this, and you're going to work on that, and I'm going to work on, maybe I'm stronger on a different point. So we're all going to use our strong points and
Totally.
hopefully put this all together. And I want everyone here to feel involved, because if you're not involved, you're not going to show up. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I really want it to be. So I think going forward, people will see it, you know what I mean?
Mr. Chair, if I quickly may, Steve, to your point, I was at the Recreation Committee meeting last night, and one of our agenda items was Pumpkin Fest, and gearing up to get that going for this year. So I was speaking to Rebecca earlier today about it might be worth it, because that takes a significant amount of time to put together, creating some type of subcommittee. So I don't know if it would potentially be possible to have a representative from this committee be on that Pumpkin Fest subcommittee. So just throwing that out there, and referencing the lights that Brian, you mentioned. I was speaking with Kevin Snow, our general manager of our light department, earlier this week, and as last year you saw, we only did some of the trees in Elm Park. It ended up being a huge hit, so the light department has already gone ahead and purchased more lights to do all of the trees. Kevin and I have been talking.
And I have some tall bucket trucks that will reach more than Kevin. We could probably show up.
Absolutely, I'm sure they would welcome the help. And we were talking, he's got great ideas for it, you know, maybe adding garland to the light posts down there in a bow. And I used to live in Boston and Beacon Hill, and the way they would do their light posts, they would have, it's a little cheesy, but like kind of oversized present tags, and, you know, instead of saying like to and from, it would say like to Beacon Hill from a local business. And I thought, you know, that was a great way to get businesses involved.
That's
and
cool.
also help the
Yeah.
town
I like that.
do
I like that.
really nice things that everyone will enjoy. So I definitely, I care about the same stuff you do. I think it's all, and it's fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
Stuff
So,
is fun.
I can definitely, the rec committee, as far as Pumpkin Fest goes, they've started to think about it. Rebecca and I are gonna get in touch with the folks who helped run it, and get it going last year, so kind of get like a to-do list together. So I'll certainly be in touch with that as it gets more solidified. And Christmas feels very far away, but we are already thinking about it.
Right, so, I mean, if, again, I don't know if this board wants to, you know, be in that charge of helping do that as well. Like I said, if Steve wanted to be the one on the board that says, "Look, I'm gonna cheer," you know,
Yeah.
not cheer, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
I don't,
I
I'm not trying to
I would help
say
you
it's-
with that.
I
If,
think-
if,
saying if
if
you're
that's
willing
not
to do
something
that,
that
I-
someone else is interested in,
And I have
I
the-
would be
I've done
willing
it.
to help you with that.
Okay, great.
Rebecca's done it, I can help them. Listen, I don't always want to be out in the forefront, so I'd love to have you help you. You know, I'll help you, whatever I can do to help you, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? One thing that I was, Rebecca and Annie, I mean, one thing I was thinking of doing this year was, as everyone knows, I try to keep the downtown flowers up and what have you, but I was hoping this fall to take some of my tractors and put them like on the islands over in front of the tea garden and put some corn stalks and what have you, and just put them around like South Groveland, places that don't get the recognition as much. This year, try to bring it outside early on before Pumpkin Fest, so we decorate the town a little bit. So I know Steve from Noonan's has been bugging me, he wants to bring some pots. Like, a few years ago, I don't know if you were here, I put planters down there, I had trees in them, I had flowers in them, and I had my name on the bucket. Steve wants to do the same thing, he's been bugging me. I said, well, I gotta wait till the lights go in, I think they're waiting. And I said, this fall, I promise you I'll get a hold of you, but he wants to put some fall plantings, and he wants to if Steve wants a bucket, he'll give Steve the bucket, and Steve can put stuff in it or whatever, we all can talk to, Steve at Noonan's, and we can put our name on the buckets. So he was thinking of doing something like that, and I said, well, we'll throw a couple tractors in the middle of it. All right, so I was trying to get it, I know you might have to go to the selectmen or whatever, and I know we've talked about this before, so.
100%, we do have an Adopt an Island or an Adopt a Spot program. It just hasn't really been utilized as much.
Yep.
You've been one of the only individuals who's really taken advantage of it, so we would
Yep.
definitely like to expand that effort. It sounds great. We'll have to have a little bit more further conversation in regards to the details, site visibility, Board of Selectmen approval, things of that nature, but all right on the money. I think it's great, and I definitely want to entertain further conversation for sure.
Right. So Steve, if you, like I said, if you wanted to, keep an eye with Annie and the board and what have you, and you're passionate about it, go for it, you know what I mean? I don't, and we all can help Steve if we need it and what
I
have you.
can definitely help.
So next time you come, any ideas you got?
I better have,
You know what I mean?
done
Yeah.
a lot of homework.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so I know we needed to move on, so I think that we're pretty much covered everything for today. And we'll probably call for an adjournment, and we'll meet again on the September 28th at 5
5
PM.
PM.
All right.
Yep, thank you.
All right, motion to adjourn at 3:38.
Second the motion?
All in favor?
Hi.
All right.
All set?
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you everyone for coming in.
Thank you.